Wii Sports has to be one of my favorite Nintendo Wii games. Heck, this was the first Wii game I'd ever seen, and whenever I seen it and played it, I instantly knew I wanted a Wii. The thought of using motion controls to make you feel like you're actually playing the sport was a foreign concept to me at the time, and many other people, and I thought it was one of the coolest things ever as a kid. Looking back at it now, probably not so much. Now, I believe I'm actually one of the few people to actually have a retail copy of this game, because my Wii came with Mario Kart. When most people bought their Wiis, it actually came with Wii Sports to help demonstrate the motion controls. And that's why Wii Sports sold over 82 million copies, because the majority of Wiis were shipped with Wii Sports, making that number a little inflated. But enough of the intro, let's go ahead and get right into it. But like always, go ahead and remember to like and subscribe, and hit that bell icon to get notified about all of my future videos. But either way, thank you guys for watching, and let's get right into the video. Released on November 19th of 2006, Wii Sports was published and released by Nintendo to be bundled with their new console, the Nintendo Wii. And because of that, Wii Sports became the first game bundled with the Nintendo console since Mario Tennis on the Virtual Boy. Essentially being a tech demo, Wii Sports was pretty much created just to demonstrate all of the basic functions of the Wii. It was meant to show the motion controls, the HD graphics, and the Miis. But Wii Sports quickly became the console's most popular game, and that led to many spin-offs in the series. But in this video, we're only talking about Wii Sports, and I will talk about those other spin-offs in a different video. Upon opening the game, you are immediately greeted by the 5 sports you get to play, along with a training and fitness mode. But I'll get into those two later in the video. For now, let's look at all the different sports. And we'll start with the sport that's on top of the list, tennis. When I was a kid, there for a while I didn't really like Wii Sports tennis. But over time I've really grown to love this sport in this game. And you know, it actually turns out to probably be one of the easiest sports in this entire game, because hitting the ball isn't really that hard at all. Your Mii sometimes will make unnatural movements just to make sure you hit the ball, so it's kind of crazy watching it. But I will say, and it's a compliment for pretty much all of the sports in this game, is that the physics engine is really good. And what I mean by that is that pretty much everything moves and acts the way that you would think it would. Every now and then you have some weird quirks, but at least the ball movement isn't completely unpredictable and it just flies around the map. With a new system like the Wii and like the introduction to motion controls and all that, they did a really good job making sure the physics were completely refined. Since tennis is the first sport that we are looking at, we're also going to be introduced to the skill mechanic in this game. And this is pretty much just a difficulty setting that you can't really change. The only way you can make it go up and down is just play better or play worse. It pretty much adjusts the AI rating according to how good you are at the game, which I do think is a pretty cool concept. And pretty much all of the fake Miis also have a skill level that'll play like really bad or really good. Like here in tennis, the first team that you play is like the worst thing imaginable. Me personally, I don't know how you could possibly lose to this team even if you're a beginner. But as you keep playing in each sport, it gradually gets harder, to the point it is actually a real challenge to win some of these things. You get to see your skill level at the end of the game, where it tells you whether you went up or down, or if you've made it to the pro level, which is at 1000. And I like how the game will automatically adjust your difficulty depending on how good or bad you are at the game. But back to tennis, there's a couple of neat little features in this. The first is that you can choose whether or not your opponents will be CPUs or controlled by one of the controllers. And the crazy part about this is that you can actually control all 4 Miis on the court, which is kind of crazy, but normally I just end up picking the 2 Miis on my side, because it's a lot easier just to play as 2 Miis at once, because the AI Mii will be extremely stupid. Another cool part about tennis is that it has a really cool replay system. Every time a team scores, it replays the score and gives you a cool slow motion replay of the score. There's also a cool Easter egg that lets you play on the blue training court. All you have to do is hold down the 2 button whenever you're going through the tennis selection stuff, and whenever you get to the point where you get to select which side your Mii's on, you see that you will be playing on the blue court. I think this is a cool little addition. I didn't even know this existed up until I started doing research for this video. But yeah, there you go. Oh yeah, and I also forgot about one feature, and that is the ability to hit a fastball, pretty much making it impossible for the AI to return it. It's really hard to hit this. I'm not exactly sure how like this is done. It pretty much just randomly happens for me. It might just be a random thing that happens too, but I assume there is some like particular way to hit the ball to make it do this, but I'm not really sure. All I know is that the AI really can't return this, and they hit it out pretty much every time they try to hit it. But now that we're done with tennis, it's time to move on to baseball. And as a kid, this was probably one of my favorite sports. Well, at least in Wii Sports. I don't really care for this in real life. But over the years, it's kind of moved have down in my list because it is kind of weird with the motion controls. And I just think the way that the game tries to recreate baseball is just weird. Despite the fact that pretty much all the Wiis don't have any legs. The way you score in this is that you just hit the ball, and if it rolls long enough, it'll be a single or a double, or every now and then maybe a triple, but that usually requires me dropping the ball first. I mean, sometimes you're lucky enough to hit a home run or hit it out of the ballpark. Pretty much most of the time, though, you're just hoping that the Miis don't do something crazy to catch the ball. Now, in terms of how this controls, it's pretty straightforward. You just swing the bat and hope the ball goes the correct direction. There is a little bit of control on how far the ball will go and like which direction it'll go. A lot of it does depend on how hard you swing the bat and how fast the pitcher threw the ball. But other than that, it just seems like a lot of this is luck-based. You do have quite a bit more control as a pitcher, though. How fast the ball leaves your arm pretty much depends on how fast you slung your Wii remote, and you can use different curveballs by using different button combinations. Now, you will notice in different sports that it does seem that there is some sort of fatigue mechanic in this, because you will see different Miis like start to sweat if they're being used a lot, so there must be some sort of fatigue mechanic in this, but I'm not really sure what it does. Now, one of the best things about baseball is not necessarily the mechanics of the game, but the presentation, because the way it makes you feel like you're just watching a broadcast of the game, along with the crowd noises and the announcer, gives this sport a really cool atmosphere, kind of like what we'll see in boxing. Now, one of the last things about baseball is that it also has a mercy rule. Pretty much what that means, if you're beating another team like 10-0, once the inning's over, the game will just go ahead and give the game to you. I guess this is kind of supposed to help people from rage quitting and destroying their TVs with their Wii remotes, but it can kind of ruin the fun a little bit against the AI. It would have actually been really cool if they would have given you an option to turn this on or off, but I guess it's okay how it is because this game doesn't really give you a lot of options for anything anyway. But now that we're done with baseball, it's time to move on to what is probably this game's most popular sport, bowling. And you know what, I actually kind of agree, because this is probably the most accurate sport in this game. Because in this, they really don't do anything wacky with bowling. There's no weird rules or like weird mechanics. It's really just bowling. The way the controls are in this work way better than pretty much any of the other sports, and it feels like this is more skill-based rather than luck-based. And what makes using motion controls so cool about this is that you can't really throw the ball the exact same way twice, because if you try to, you pretty much get a different result every time. So that adds quite a bit of replayability to this. On top of that, you only need one Wii remote to play this game. So if you don't have multiple Wii remotes and you just want to play a game with your friends, all you gotta do is share your Wii remote around. You can play with up to 4 people and they can have their own custom Miis as well, so they don't have to play as a guest Mii if they already have one saved on your Wii. Another cool thing about bowling is that there's actually games going on around you. I mean, it is kind of like an imaginary game though. There's really no scores for those other Miis, and it's really just there to kind of make the bowling alley feel alive. But I think it is pretty cool that they did add some atmosphere to this, and it makes it a little less boring because it actually sounds like you're in a bowling alley. And that's something you definitely have to give Wii Sports credit for, is that no matter how inaccurate some of the sports are, they're still very fun and they make sure that you feel very immersed in what's going on. There's always some sort of atmosphere surrounding each sport, whether it be a calming one or one that's really exciting. And you know, believe it or not, this game actually has more atmosphere than some of the newer sports games that Nintendo releases. So Wii Sports is actually kind of a step up from some of the newer stuff. But that's all I got for bowling, so let's go ahead and move on to my favorite sport in this game, golf. And there's a couple reasons why it's my favorite. One being that it is the best looking sport in this game. I don't know if it's because of how vibrant the grass looks or just how well the environments are designed, but this just hands down looks the best to me. But other than the graphics, the gameplay mechanics are also great. Well, besides putting, but we'll get to that in a minute. Wii Sports has 9 different courses, which you have the option in playing all 9 courses, or playing a game where you only play 3 holes that are divided up into the first 3, middle 3, and last 3. And those are easy, intermediate, and hard. When you play golf for the first time, you're given this little tutorial mode where it teaches you how to swing the golf club and some of the different mechanics for golf. But once you're finished with that, you are free to play. There's 4 different golf clubs you can use. You have a driver, an iron, a wedge, and a putter. Your driver is for more longer range shots, while your iron is for medium range shots and the wedge is for shorter range shots. And obviously your putter is, well, for putting. It would have been pretty cool to see different variants of golf clubs, but hey, at least that was added later on in Wii Sports Resort. The motion controls are okay in this, I guess. Most of the time you have a really hard time trying to be accurate with this, but for normal shots it is actually okay. The problem really lies in putting. Trying to putt in this game is a nightmare. Sometimes you can get a good putt off, but most of the time you either underhit it or way overhit it. I can't tell you how many times I've had an eagle or a birdie going, and I'm like 2 inches away from the hole, and I hit the ball and the motion controls think I hit it so hard that it sends it into the fairway. So yeah, that's super annoying. rewarding. Another thing that can be really annoying is the wind, and this is like completely random each game. Sometimes you'll have one hole with absolutely no wind at all, and then the very next hole you go to has a 30-mile-an-hour crosswind. You would think if you're playing at like the same golf course, the wind would be pretty consistent the entire game, but I guess in this universe it is not. I think it would have been a lot better if they would have just added like a wind setting or something like that. That way the wind would be a lot more predictable each course. And speaking of the course, all of these holes are actually pretty good. Well, all of them besides hole 8, because I think the map design for hole 8 is actually kind of stupid, but that's just me. But other than that, the rest of these are actually pretty good. Some of these are a lot harder than others, which is what it's supposed to be, but for the most part they're pretty enjoyable. But that's all I got for golf, so let's go ahead and get down to the last sport in this game, boxing. And out of all of the other sports in this game, this one has to have the most energy surrounding it. You know, to be completely honest, Wii Sports Boxing feels like it has more atmosphere in the crowd than the last 12 years of Madden combined, which kind of shows you the sad state of that franchise, but that's for a different video. Besides all the stuff that surrounds the sport though, it is actually pretty fun to play. Since boxing actually needs you to use both hands to play it properly, this is the only sport that makes you use the nunchuck. And for those out there that have used the Wii nunchuck or one of the accessories that plug into the Wii remote, you know that it's not always a very fun experience. But I guess it's the only way they can figure out how to get boxing to work with this, so that's what we're stuck with. Boxing works exactly how you would think it would. You pretty much just punch your opponent until they go down. You have 3 rounds to do this, each one lasting a minute, unless you knock out your opponent before then, which pretty much means if they go down and stay down for 10 seconds, which takes a long time to do, by the way. Normally you have to take them down like 2 or 3 times before they get knocked out. But if you do manage to knock out your opponent before the 3 rounds are over, you automatically win. Now, like in most cases, if you don't, I'm actually not really sure how the game determines the winner. It kind of just does. I think it has something to do with each player's performance throughout the entire match, but exactly how the game determines who's the winner, I have no idea. But other than that, there's not really much else to boxing. It is pretty simple. I guess I didn't talk about the health bar here, but I mean, it does exactly what you'd think it would do, so yeah. And since I don't really have anything else to say about boxing, let's go ahead and move on to the mini games. Okay, so they're not called mini games, but they are called training levels, but that's pretty much what they are though. Pretty much all these are just fun little exercises that you can do to either improve your skills or just do them for fun. Each of the 5 sports have 3 different mini games that you get to play, and if you do well enough in them, you can earn medals. Some of these are really easy, while some of them are actually pretty hard, and others are just downright frustrating. But it can be really rewarding whenever you do good in one of these. Now, besides the training mode, there is also a Wii Fitness mode, but this isn't really too special. Pretty much all this is just a test to see how good you are at the game, because all it does is just pick 3 random training mini games, has you play through them, and gives you a score. And what is that score? Well, a Wii Fitness age. I'm not really sure why they did it this way and didn't just give you some other score, but yeah, there it is, and the way they calculate it is like through this like triangle thing here in the corner. I don't know, it's one of those gimmicks that the Wii had whenever it came out. Because of the motion controls, Nintendo also kind of marketed this as a fitness tool, which I guess was pretty cool until people realized that you really didn't have to act like you were playing the sport. All you had to do was just shake your Wii remote around, and that's about it. I guess it was pretty cool for some people, but it's just kind of odd. But either way, that is all I have for Wii Sports. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It took me way longer than it should have to make this. Sorry for the lack of videos for like the past 3 weeks. I have just been working on this or not working on YouTube at all. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to make next. I have a few ideas in mind, so stay tuned for that. I'll probably make a community post about it after this video is out sometime. But either way, I want to say a special thanks to my super supporters on screen here. They really help the channel keep moving forward. And if you would like to become a super supporter yourself or just a regular channel member, hit that join button down below. You can get special perks like early access to videos, members only videos, and get your name put at the end of the screen like these members. But either way, I really hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like, and if you want more content like it, please subscribe. See you guys in the next one.